Good evening and welcome to tonight's Committee of the Whole meeting. My name is Jim Radecki, and along with Gene McGowan, we are 4th Ward Alderman, but tonight I have the pleasure of hosting the Committee of the Whole meeting. Thank you all for coming and participating, and everybody who's watching at home. Let the record show that all aldermen are present with the exception of Alderman Clements. We'll go to the second item of business to approve the Committee of the Whole meeting from July 23rd, 2018, and Joint Committee of the Whole Strategic Plan Advisory Committee meeting held on July 30th, 2018.
So moved.
Moved by Bruno. Second. Second by Marks. Are there any questions or comments about those minutes? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And that would be 9-0 today. On to items of business. Recommend suspending the rules to permit Alderman Radecki to be the co-chairman for this meeting and to vote on all action items on this agenda. May we have moved? Okay. Then seconded, Gene? Okay. Moved by Kilberg, seconded by Alderman McGowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I will abstain. Moving on to item B, recommend draft ordinance amending Title IV Business and License Regulations, Chapter 2, Liquor Control, Section 4-2-13, License Fees and Number, adding one Class B3 liquor license, restaurant with cocktail lounge, for Firewater Barbecue and Brew of Geneva, Inc. at 524 West State.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bruno, seconded by Marks.
So we spoke a couple weeks ago how we might be changing things up a bit. So one of those things is providing just a brief introduction to each item so that the audience is kind of aware what you're talking about, and it just refreshes everyone's memory. This one's relatively self-explanatory. This is a request for a B3 liquor license, which is a restaurant with cocktail lounge for Firewater Barbecue. It would authorize the retail sale of alcoholic liquors for consumption on the premises only, and if approved, the license would be issued once they get their occupancy permit. So it would have to get their inspections from fire and building. So, again, pretty self-explanatory, but that's the item on the floor.
Is the applicant present today? Would you care to come forward and give us a little plug?
I have on nice clothes, shows how hard we're working. I have nice clothes on with my tennis shoes on. So you can tell where my mind's at right now. So,
Welcome.
Matt Weil from Firewater Barbecue and Brew, here and present, and excited. So I don't know, we've been working really hard. We have a bunch of crews in there now since we got a lot of our permits last week too. We've had everything ready and waiting, so we're ready to roll.
You know, I know Alderman Bruno and I were speaking briefly before, and you had your sign up, and you're only allowed to keep that up for so long, and then it came down. There was like a panic in the community about where are these guys going? Are they still around? So
we were fielding calls actually at other locations too, like what's going on? I mean, I don't know what. We're so excited to open. I don't think we've gotten any more, or could have gotten any more response, positive response. A lot of media action. I mean, even on social media too. A little over 1,253 likes, and then like 268 comments in like, I don't know, 72 hours. So we got a lot more than we thought. We knew this would be a great place where we wanted to go. We've been watching it for about 3 or 4 years now. And when the opportunity came up, yeah, we were a little eager to get the sign up. We weren't familiar with all the ordinances and stuff and what we were allowed to do. We just were up there hanging signs and painting walls, and like, whoa, slow down. So. Yeah, but no, we're on schedule now, we think. Like I said, we have actually rough inspections already scheduled for Wednesday in the afternoon, so we'll see where we're at that point, and then all hands on deck. So
exciting, excellent. Good to hear. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, can you tell us a bit about Firewater Barbecue? You've got several other locations, right?
yeah, so we have 2 other locations, and then one's kind of commissary location. We also own our own brewery, which we just acquired about 90 days ago in Westmont. And it's opened right now. We're in a transition. That's going to be called Whiskey Hill Brewing Company. That'll be supplying the restaurants with a lot of the kind of the 2 or 3 craft beers we do serve. But yeah, we have 2 major operating locations. First one was in Crest Hill by Joliet, South Weber Road, about 3,200 square feet, and then Lombard, which is right up Roosevelt Road, almost towards Oak Brook over on that way. But we're slow smoke Southern style barbecue. I mean, we cook with all wood, all of our own sauces, rubs, and everything's all proprietary blends. Our own choices on our meats come from one purveyor out of Chicago. We're very local. We use a lot of farm to plate stuff. We are quick casual, which is really great. So you come to the counter, you can order. We walk you through our menu a little bit. You go sit down, you have a pager, you pick up your food. We are an excellent price point for what we put out. Again, all of our meats are wet rubbed, dry rubbed, and cryovac before they reach the unit. And then we smoke over hickory and apple woods. So all of our sides are made fresh in-house. Our sauces are additive-free, preservative-free. We use real sugar, not high fructose corn syrup. So we're not like a big corporate chain where we just like to dump a bunch of sugary stuff on meat. We have the smoker. If anybody has seen the drawings, or if you can peek in, we got a big $42,000 hand-built smoker right in front. There's only 2 in Illinois. One's here in Geneva, and the other one's in our Lombard location. There's about a 24-month waiting list to get one. So that was a big part of why it took longer for us to get approval from building. They were awesome. They really helped us out, and actually the health department was pretty critical of us, but we have an excellent HACCP plan. And then all of our guys are trained well over 24 months, if not 10, 15 years in real pit smoking. This isn't like a, not to hurt those that have pellet smokers, but it's not like a pellet smoker corporate place where you throw a 16-year-old kid in charge. Not that you can't be a 16-year-old pit master, but we take it pretty seriously. Our craft beers paired with our food. We do offer basically slow smoked brisket, pork, chicken, ribs, sausage, rib tips, and smoked wings. So those are our 7 major proteins. So
And
I could talk all night if I'm gonna keep going about barbecue, but.
what's your, do you have like a targeted opening date?
Yes, so without anybody snickering, we're really shooting for about 3 weeks. If we have rough scheduled Wednesday and they give us the approval, we only really have, we literally have about 14 new team members, and we'd already brought in 2 full-time salaried managers already training out of their restaurants. So every day is a waiting game. They're all excited to get in and start working. More than 50% of the staff is local, that meaning just from Geneva. The other 3 we hired were just in surrounding towns, and then the other 3 come from our units for our hourlies. Our general manager is from Batavia, and then our other manager is coming actually from the south, from Bolingbrook.
Okay, well,
So we're ready to roll, but we just have to do things right.
well, welcome to the first ward.
Thank you, appreciate it. We're happy to be here.
Well, thank you. Good luck.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot,
Jim.
appreciate it.
Great. Alderman Kilberg.
Yes, sir.
Just one question relates to the smoker. Do you anticipate that there will be much odor coming off the smoker in the neighborhood? I mean, what are the prior experiences? Obviously, this is a fairly new technology. You're saying it's one of 2 in Illinois.
Yep. It is, to answer your question, it's kind of threefold here. One, is it new technology? No, this is actually a very primitive machine. The difference is that this is a really well-crafted, hand-built machine. It's about 4,300 pounds empty. So there was a load calculation we had to do with the engineers to make sure it's a FlexiCore floor, which building was really honest. It's more than meets standard. It can cook 6 150-pound hogs at one time, so it's big rotary deck. As far as smells, well, there would definitely be really cool, good smells inside to what you would normally see inside of like a restaurant, especially barbecue. But it's not like what you'd see, I think, down south, where they have big open pits and stone and stuff, and it's all smoky inside. This one is direct vented. That was, was absolutely to code. Chicago actually doesn't have the same code, but a lot of the outlying suburbs do. And fire here was particular. It was vented completely on its own as a solid wood burning source. So it's solid vented with black iron all the way through both floors, 6 feet above the floor line on the roof. And it's got a smoke regulator in it so that when the smoke picks up, the regulator picks up. And as it's obviously not being used, it slows down. So there'll be good smells inside? No. As far as the building's concerned, the second floor is beautiful offices if you've ever been inside that building.
I'm more concerned about the exterior because I think we all like the smell of barbecue, but if you
Right.
all of a sudden start getting it 24/7, it could be an annoyance. I'm just wondering if, in fact, you've thought about this, and I mean, we've got residential areas fairly close. Is this something that you've given consideration to, and do you feel as though that this is gonna be manageable?
Yeah, yes, I do. I think that the truth is when you really smoke meats, you know what you're doing. You don't want to have too much smoke. If you have too much smoke, your meat's bitter. So there's the right temperature, the right time, and the right amount of smoke. If you over smoke your meat, it doesn't have the right flavor. So that's particularly why we wanted to use this unit. It's really good at balancing that heat. It cooks more over a long period of time, low and slow, versus just dumping a bunch of smoke out like with a gas-assisted unit. So as far as the surrounding areas, no. I think you'll definitely have a nice smell here and there, but I don't think it's gonna be, I know it won't be. As far as our other units are concerned, there's absolutely not an issue.
Okay,
So,
good luck.
thank you.
Just a random odd question for you. Just curious about the firewood, like where you're sourcing that from and how much firewood do you go through in a day?
Right, no, it's a good question. Again, we source, I'll answer it in the way you asked me, but basically we're sourcing the wood from, we have a wood purveyor that comes specifically from like Peoria, Illinois, and drives up. They get a lot of it from Missouri, because we do use a lot of hickory and then apple woods here in the Midwest. But as far as how much it uses, again, this pit has basically the fire pit on it is so well built that you could literally smoke an entire batch, let's say, of meat, and you could shut the fire pit on it. You could come back 4 days later and still turn over the coals and it'd still be hot in there.
Okay.
So it's really well self-contained, and we'd probably go through, depending on what we're cooking, short cooks and long cooks, I'd say some moderately spliced logs, maybe 4 or 5 a day,
Okay.
you know.
So you're putting giant logs in there?
You put a log about this big in there.
Okay.
It's about, I'd say it's about 6 inches cut triangle, and probably about 1.5 feet long.
Okay,
Yeah, it's usually what it runs on, 4 or
Alright.
5 at one time, so.
all right, thanks.
Very efficient unit, which is nice.
Any other questions from the dais? Anyone from the audience have any questions? No? Well, hey, good luck and welcome.
Thank you.
We do need a vote on this item. Yeah, before we congratulate you, I guess we need to see if we approve the liquor license first. So we do have a motion, and we do have a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I will
Any-
be abstaining.
Alderman McGowan is abstaining, okay. That would be 8 ayes and 1 abstention. Motion passes 8-1. Moving on to item C, recommend approval of special event Class E liquor license for Festival of the Vine, September 7th through 9th, 2018, as presented. Have a motion, please? So moved. Moved by Marks, second by Alderman Burkhart. Do we have any questions?
So this one is an annual one that we do for Festival of the Vine. It's temporary liquor license. This year, those that have applied include Fiora's, The Little Traveler, The Royal Wren, Geneva Wine Cellars, and Geneva Chamber of Commerce.
Any discussion or questions from the dais? Anybody from the audience have any questions? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Moving on to item D, recommend draft ordinance amending Title IV, Business and License Regulations, Chapter 2, Liquor Control, Section 11, License Classification, Subsection E, Temporary License of the City of Geneva City Code. I have a motion and a second, please. Motion by Mark, second by Alderman Ruby. This is liquor night tonight, it looks like.
We start out fun. So this item is specifically relating to these Class E temporary licenses. There were some inconsistencies that were pointed out to the city and a request to clarify those inconsistencies. As such, the proposed changes are more housekeeping in nature to provide for alcoholic liquor, which includes beer and wine, as well as other alcoholic liquor, which includes those, you'll see now like those canned products that are mixed drinks, already canned, already mixed. That was really where I think the request came from. For consumption on the premises only unless otherwise specified in the code. This would affect the license category E1, not-for-profit fundraiser, E2, for-profit events, E4, city fair, private property, for-profit outdoor sales, and E5, private property for profit off-site outdoor sales. And then your packet has, it includes E6, but we're gonna not change the E6 license because state statute requires on public property that it's still only beer and wine. So your packet will be as presented next week, but we will not be changing the E6 license, just the other E licenses. So if there's any other questions, I'm happy to address those.
Questions from the dais? Hearing none, seeing none. Questions from the audience? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to item E, recommend draft resolution authorizing acceptance of the 2018 Employee Benefit Plan renewal effective November 1st, 2018.
So moved.
Moved by Marks, seconded by Bruno.
Okay. The resolution being presented tonight authorizes acceptance of the 2018 Employee Benefit Plan renewal effective November 1st, 2018. The renewal includes a decrease of 4.5% for the 4 medical plans offered, no increase for the dental plan premiums, although there is a slight 1.4% increase in the administration fees for the self-funded plan, and no increase for the life insurance plan with a 2-year rate guarantee. There's also no increase to the vision plan, which is currently in year 2 of a 2-year rate guarantee. The city contributes towards medical, dental, and life, but not the vision coverage. This evening with us, we have Boomer Whipple, the partner and senior vice president of Lundstrom Insurance, the city's broker, and also Lisa Berry, our HR generalist, to answer any additional questions that you may have. But overall, this is really pretty positive, great news.
Questions from the dais? Any questions from the audience? It's a big ticket item. Okay, hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to F, recommend draft ordinance amending Title VII Motor Vehicle and Traffic, Chapter 4, Traffic Schedule, Section 8, Schedule 8, Limited Parking Zones of the Geneva City Code. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Motion by Bruno, second by Marks.
Okay. The proposed ordinance change would change the parking limit from 3 hours to 90 minutes for a section of parking on Stevens Street, west of Anderson Boulevard. The intent of the recommended change is to permit the parking to be utilized as intended for the adjacent businesses, but limit the likelihood that parking will be used by the high schoolers all day long. That's apparently what's been happening. So there was a meeting with the businesses there, the aldermen of the ward, and this was the kind of the recommended a way to let the businesses have parking, the schools won't take it up, but yet there's enough turnover to keep the businesses happy. So we have Commander Meduzia here if there's any other questions regarding this issue. But it's really just changing the time from 3 hours to 90 minutes for that particular section.
Any comments from the local alderman? Anything you wish to add? Or?
I think city administrator described it well. It's been a challenging area with the high school students filling up the business parking. I think some years ago, this was actually reduced down to 3 hours, and that still wasn't, there was still enough of a loophole, and we just decided 90 minutes seems the most sensible.
Yeah, better press on there. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think 5 years ago or so, it was 2-hour parking, and it was actually mismarked. So then they did some improvements on the streets and stuff like that, and they put the signs back up, but they put them up according to the code, which clearly stated 3 hours. The high school students, as they're apt to do, found some loopholes in that, and the students that do not stay for the entire day were able to park there, pass that along to a buddy who's coming in for the afternoon session. They would park there for another 3 hours, and our community service officers were unable to ticket them because nobody was staying for 3 hours, and the businesses weren't able to use those parking spots because there were students parked in there all day. So we tried to work with the school, who's been a great partner. They put it in their news flyers. We've put warning notices on the cars. Hey, can you be a good neighbor and not park here? The students took those and threw them in the middle of the street, as young people are apt to do. So we've done, some legwork on this as a Band-Aid, and the Band-Aid's no longer working. So the business owner sought us out to actually come up with a solution in a good time frame. We actually didn't have a 90-minute parking in the code, but they decided that that would work best for them. So we wanted to put the best solution forward. Instead of just throwing up another 2-hour parking sign, we decided that 90 minutes was probably best for everybody involved, and the students have plenty of other options for parking.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the committee?
How many businesses are actually impacted by that situation?
So they talked to about 3 or 4 other businesses.
I know that there's a beauty parlor there, and what other businesses do we have?
There's a dental office on the other side. There's a couple businesses over where El Tiro is and stuff like that. They have their own parking lot, so it primarily affects the ones on the northwest corner of Stevens and Anderson there.
Just the one business, and really, because the others don't, on the south side of Stevens, don't they have off-street parking there as well?
They do, but it all kind of gets taken up by employees, customers, things like that. So this was more for the dental office and the salon.
And a cabinet business.
And a cabinet
Resurfacing business.
Alderman McGowan?
About how many parking spots are we talking about here that will change from the 3-hour to 90-minute parking limit?
4.
Okay, so it's really not gonna impact too many of the high school students?
No.
Okay. Let me ask you another question, if I may.
Microphone.
I'm sorry. And how will the police department be enforcing the 90-minute parking limit?
The same way we enforce other time parking with a chalk mark on the tire and then rechecking it at the 90-minute mark, which isn't an exact science, but roughly thereafter, if the 90 minutes is up and they recheck it, they'll get a citation.
They get a citation. What is the amount of the citation now
$25.
for the first offense? And then if it were a student doing this after the first citation, what would the next one be? Is it the same?
Yeah, we would just write it under prohibited parking.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Alderman Burkhart?
I just want to thank Commander Meduzia for working on this one. Like he said, we've tried a bunch of different things here. This is a challenging area where you have a lot of competing needs of residents, businesses, restaurants, the high school, and, we hate to limit parking too much, Mike and I, but in this situation, it just, if you're going to have a business that has turnover with customers, like a hair salon, cabinet place, they need to have some options for their customers, so we appreciate you working with us on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving right along. We'll move to item G, recommend draft resolution authorizing execution of an intergovernmental agreement with the Illinois Department of Central Management Services for continued use of the iBid online auction system. Can I have a motion? Moved by Marks. Seconded by McGowan.
Okay. The resolution being presented for consideration authorizes the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the city and the Illinois Department of Central Management Services for the use of the iBid online auction system. iBid is similar to other online auction systems such as eBay. The difference is the iBid platform charges us 2% of the gross sales price of each item sold with no setup fee and no recurring membership fee. We've had pretty good success in listing surplus equipment and vehicles for sale via the iBid program. So we feel it's in our benefit to go ahead and, we had an agreement with them that had expired, so we're just updating that. Chris Rainey, our administrative analyst, is here this evening to answer any additional questions you might have regarding this item.
Any questions or discussion from the dais? Or the audience? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to item H, recommend draft resolution authorizing purchase of one Zoll-X Series manual monitor defibrillator from Zoll Medical Corporation in the amount of $28,814.40. Can I have a motion? It's a motion by McGowan,
Second.
second by Bruno.
Okay, as Alderman Radecki said, this is a request for the purchase of one replacement cardiac monitor for engine 208. A cardiac monitor is a diagnostic and treatment tool that allows a paramedic to monitor and hear arrhythmias and execute various treatment protocols for a full range of patient cardiac problems. The city participated with Tri-City Ambulance, the City of Batavia, and the City of St. Charles for replacement cardiac monitors for all TCA and fire department units. This was the unit that was the preferred unit to replace all of them in all of the vehicles for all the cities in TCA. We also have Chief Antonori with us tonight if there's any additional questions. There were some questions that you saw earlier that we posted regarding the difference between the AEDs you might find online and a cardiac monitor. This is a cardiac monitor, which must be used by a trained professional and does a lot more than just your basic AED that any layperson can use.
Questions from the committee? Anyone from the audience? Seeing none, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to item I, recommend draft resolution authorizing execution of account resolutions certificate for treasury management services between Fifth Third Bank and the City of Geneva. Moved by Ruby. Second by Marks.
Okay, the next three finance items, Rita Cruz is also present, so if you have any questions on any of these, the first two that we'll be talking about are pretty much housekeeping. This resolution authorizes the execution of the account resolution certificate for Treasury Management Services between Fifth Third Bank and the City of Geneva. We've been using Fifth Third Bank since 2003 for our procurement cards, and they would like an update of the banking agreement. So again, if you have any questions, Rita is here as well this evening.
Alderman Marks.
Just a quick one, Stephanie, either one. I noticed on the first agreement that the city treasurer is not on it. Is there a reason for that? He's on some, he's
There
on the
actually
other
is,
ones.
so I'm going to let Rita explain that for you.
He is on the other two, and that's why I asked the question.
The reason why he's not in the agreement is the form is required to be, we can only have two signers, and those two people have dual authentication. So let's say we need to open up a credit card account, it has to be someone else to do that. And because Stephanie ultimately has a policy in place where she does approve every new credit card that comes in the city to be issued, she and myself are the ones that are going to do that. Plus, Fifth Third actually doesn't allow you to talk to anyone at their resolution center unless you're on that account. So, for example, we had a chief that had an issue with his credit card. I couldn't even talk to them because the paperwork wasn't quite correct. So that's the reason why the treasurer is not on, and it's only the two of us.
Any other questions? Alderman Kilburg.
Approximately how many procurement cards do we have issued right now at the city, with the city?
About 20.
20? Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Anyone from the audience? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes 9-0. On item J, recommend draft resolution authorizing execution of the master services agreement between U.S. Bank and the City of Geneva. Moved by Marks.
Second.
Second by Bruno.
So this one, the city council earlier this year authorized opening of a money market account with the Illinois Trust to secure a higher interest rate for idle funds. In order to able to direct deposit state funds directly into our account, the city is required to open a U.S. bank account. This resolution authorizes execution of the master services agreement between U.S. Bank and the City of Geneva. So in other words, this enables us to get our money from the state immediately as opposed to waiting. So again, Rita's here if you have any additional questions.
Probably not a state you want to wait to get your money from. Any questions? Alderman Kilburg?
How much of an increase did we see as a result of this move in the money market account?
It's about 20 to 25 basis points compared to what Illinois funds, which is who we currently have, which is why I need this execution to move the money over. And that's, right now, it does fluctuate on a day-to-day basis, but it's about 20, 25 basis points.
What would it be approximately? What percentage?
It depends on how much money we have in there. So
Oh,
maybe like 0.25%, which is really 25 basis points.
0.25?
Percent, yes.
Okay, thank
Even
you.
though it may not feel like a lot now, but on a larger sum of money, it is far worth it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to item K, recommend draft resolution authorizing fiscal year 2018-19 budget amendments in the Infrastructure Capital Projects Fund as presented. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Bruno. Second by Ruby.
Okay, the budget amendment requested is to close out the Route 38 Counts Road Union Pacific Railroad overpass project with the Illinois Department of Transportation. This is the city's final share of a project that began in 2012. Construction was completed in 2016. Funds for this budget amendment will be provided from the fund balance, and I know the question is, it's now 2018-19 budget year, why are we just now paying it out? And that is because we just got the notice from the state, who has just finished auditing their records from this project. So that's the million-dollar question, or the what's the? So again, Rita's here if you have any questions, and I guess Rich could answer them too, but really the only answer is that it took the state a long time to audit their books.
Questions? Alderman Kilberg.
So this was a little over $2 million that what is it that, why don't you explain the financial piece of it? And I saw that there was an increase that was outlined with that document, the
Yes.
information that we were given.
So the increase is that current bill that's out there of $82,940.
So in other words, that's what we owe the state.
Yes,
Gotcha. Okay.
rounded up.
And the total amount that we'd paid to the state as a result of this project was a little over $2 million, right?
Right. It's $2,117,900, I mean, $2,117,940,000. $2,117,940.
It's over 2 million, yes.
Was that predicated on a percentage basis, or what was the history behind that as a result of that project? This moved through council several years ago. I'm just wondering, what's Geneva's share of what was done out there?
That was based on an intergovernmental agreement executed by the state of Illinois and the city of Geneva that was based on a percentage of the estimated cost of the project. And it was not a not-to-exceed amount because it was based on an estimate that would not be known until the project was finalized. For the exact percentage, to be honest with you, I'd have to get back to the city council. It predates me and most of my staff.
That's fine. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 9-0. On to item I, recommend draft resolution authorizing a temporary construction easement for Dunstan and Sunset Water Main Project subject to legal review. May I have a move by Kilberg, second by Ruby.
Temporary construction easements are needed to reconnect water services to the properties that have been impacted by the water main project on Dunstan Road, Ray Street, and Sunset Road. The resolution would authorize the city administrator to negotiate these easements, subject to city attorney review. The attorney has reviewed the easements, so we have the easements now. We just need to negotiate with the property owners. And I do have Bob Van Gescam here, Superintendent of Water and Wastewater, to answer any additional questions you may have.
Questions from the committee? Alderman McGowan.
Thank you. I guess I have a question for Bob. What is the estimated length of time for the temporary construction easement?
We're going to have these in place for 2 years, and only because if something does happen with the water service and we need to get it back in there for a repair, then we don't have to come back for a temporary construction easement again. So it'll last through the warranty period, which is 1 year, but since it's maybe a year and 2 months before it actually gets in, I want to have that extra time to be able to make any repairs.
Okay, thank you very much. And then I guess maybe Stephanie, this next question would probably be for you. Are temporary easements considered fair game for the high-speed internet that's coming? They're allowed to install.
No, this is a temporary construction easement solely for this purpose. And
Okay.
it states that on the easement, what the purpose is for.
Okay, I had
But we have other right-of-way.
Yeah.
If it's within the city's right-of-way or in the city's utility easements that are permanent easements, are they called permanent? Permanent easements, and those, yes, would be essentially fair game as long as they go through the permitting process.
Okay, so temporary easements, in a two years is a long time.
Right.
But temporary easements are for sure
For
not
that
going to be
purpose.
included. Okay, I just wanted to make sure,
It's a temporary construction easement,
right?
so it's construction for the purposes of installing these water service lines.
Okay, thank you
Or
very.
connecting
Yeah.
water service lines.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 9-0. On to item M, recommend draft resolution authorizing change orders number 2 and number 3 for IHC Construction Company's wastewater treatment plant improvements. Can I have a motion, please? A motion by McGowan, second by Burkhart.
Okay, presented for your consideration are two change orders relating to the wastewater treatment plant improvements. Pursuant to state statute, the city council must find that the circumstances said to necessitate the change in performance were not reasonably foreseeable at the time the contract was entered. They must also determine it's germane to the original contract assigned, and that the change order is in the best interest of the city. The good news is that the net change of these particular change orders is a decrease in the total contract amount by a little over $7,265.53. I am not prepared to go into the specifics because I don't work at the wastewater treatment plant, but certainly if you have questions on the specifics of the change orders, we do have Bob Mangescam here still to go over those with you.
Any questions from the committee?
I had one.
Alderman Kilberg.
Bob, how's the project progressing, and are we anticipating other change orders? Obviously, credits are always welcome. But obviously, this is a big project. We've got a lot of money involved here. Where are we at as far as the project roughly, and do you anticipate other change orders along the road here?
I would say the project is progressing well. We do have a couple of delays that have come about in regards to electrical delays. One for the motor control cabinets, and then the blowers for the wastewater treatment plant were also in a bit of a delay, but that is nothing to do with IHC or the engineer or anything. It was just due to market circumstances, namely due to the hurricanes from last year. So has put it behind. I do anticipate more change orders as we go about this. How many, I really don't know. But
And again, when's the projected completion date? I know this is a lengthy project.
correct.
Is it in 19, or are we going to go into 2020?
No, I don't anticipate. Currently, right now, even with the delays that we've had, I believe we're looking at July of 2019.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes 9-0. On to N, recommend draft ordinance authorizing purchase of a Kohler standby generator through National Joint Powers Alliance for Dotson Street Water Pump Station in the amount of $43,601. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Bruno, second by Ruby.
Okay. This request is for the purchase of a standby generator for the Dodson Street Water Pump Station. The city used the National Joint Powers Alliance to determine that the Kohler generator was the low bid that met the specification for the purchase. The total cost includes startup, service, load, bank testing, and delivery. Again, Bob is still with us to answer any additional questions you might have.
Glad you're still with us, Bob. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes 9-0. On to O, recommend draft resolution authorizing execution of the transportation and balancing agreement with Nicor Gas Service to the Geneva Generation Facility. Have a motion, please. Motion, Mark's motions, Kilberg seconds.
Okay, this agreement was negotiated with the assistance of the Electric Utilities Financial Consultant. It has a 5-year term with an effective average compound growth rate and annual fixed charges that's slightly less than 2.2% per year over the term of the agreement. In addition, the proposed annual distribution charges are reduced by about $2,000 per year based upon last year's transported gas. This evening, we have Hal Wright with us, Superintendent of Electrical Services, to again present any of the nitty-gritty details that go way beyond what I understand.
Would anybody like any nitty-gritty details from the committee? Alderman Kilberg would.
You came out tonight, we couldn't let you
Yeah.
come without having at least one question. Okay. Al, there's the NICOR piece, and then there's obviously the landfill piece. Now, these are separate, right, as far as the negotiations?
Yes, they're separate, and they're for different things. The NICOR piece is for pipeline service to the Geneva Generation Facility.
Okay.
It's also for storage somewhere on their system. So we can buy gas and put it into storage on the shoulder months when it's cheaper, and then use it when it's, when the price is up.
So the majority of the gas then we purchase for the generation facility is from Nicor, and the percentage that
NICOR provides the pipeline service. We go through a broker, CenterPoint Energy, for the
okay,
purchase of
so it's
gas.
not Nicor, but it's the,
Deliver it,
the delivery, right?
yes.
Then, where are we at as it relates to the landfill, and when is that renegotiated? I think we did that within the last year or two, didn't we?
We did that in January of, we approved the last one in January of 17. It's a 2-year agreement. It will be done December 31st of 18.
And again, that's about what, 10% of the gas that we use over there?
It's been going down. It used to be 10%, so you're correct. That's what I told you last time. It's
Okay.
down to about 8%. So I think it's peaked and we're in that downhill slope now.
And we'll probably be utilizing that for what?
Well, that's really not the topic that we have before us, is the landfill and
well-
that. I mean,
That's fine. Thank you.
any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 9-0. On to item P, recommend draft resolution authorizing purchase of HDPE conduit material from MetroNet for electric relocation at Illinois 31 and 3rd Streets in the amount of $12,013. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Motion by McGowan, second by Bruno.
Okay. The city received 3 quotes for material for a directional boring job relating to the electric relocation. MetroNet had the lowest quote, and so therefore that is the recommendation. And again, Hal is with us this evening to answer any additional questions you might have.
Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes 9-0. On to Q, recommend draft resolution authorizing purchase of a Ford F-150 4x4 pickup truck from Prescott Brothers Auto Group in the amount of $30,647 and declare a 2004 F-150 4x4 pickup truck, number 122, as surplus property to be used as a trade-in. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion Bruno. Second by Alderman Swanson.
Okay, again, this is a request to purchase a Ford F-150 pickup truck and declare surplus the old truck. The vehicle is used on a daily basis by the Electric Division for service requests, meter exchanges, and hauling material to and from Geneva Generation Facility. Proposals were solicited both for cash purchase as well as different leasing and financing options. The existing vehicle will be used as a trade-in for the new vehicle. Again, any questions can be directed to Hal Wright, Superintendent of Electrical Services.
Any questions from the committee? I guess I have one question, Hal, and it's the same question I have all the time, and I don't know if it's more of a statement or a question. It's how old, I did the quick math on it. This vehicle averages only about 225 miles a month on it. I realize it probably never leaves Geneva, and I know you guys explore, the various options for the most economical way to replace it, but do we have to have a vehicle that's only used that infrequently?
You tend to see a lot of vehicles that have around 40,000 miles on them. And for us, that's at about a 15-year time frame. We use them virtually every day and all day long, but we may drive it to a place, leave it, and then drive it back at the end of the day. So they don't build a lot of miles, but all their miles are necessary. We need a vehicle to transport those people around, and it's a critical piece of equipment.
Sure. Yeah, and I guess I saw that the trade-in value is what, $2,500 for it? That's a pretty low mile 4x4 truck, but it is.
Low mile, but it's 15 years old too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it does have a fair amount of rust underneath.
Yeah.
We've done cosmetic repairs to it.
Any questions? Alderman Ruby?
Just also on the trade-in value, I'm just curious how the determination is made if the trade-in versus, could iBid be used to sell a vehicle, or?
In this particular purchase process, we requested quotes for trade-in value as part of the cost of purchasing another vehicle. If we didn't do that and we just declared it surplus, then we've done that in the past. We put it on iBid and we take the best that we can get. So
Do you have any idea?
This is just a way of doing, another way of
It's
doing
just,
it.
well, I understand this is probably the simplest and it's concrete. We know our numbers this way. I'm just curious, is there any, and this might be off topic, but is there any idea of what this vehicle would sell for on iBid? Or if we tried to sell it otherwise?
When we've surplus vehicles on iBid in the past, we have not seen values reach this high. for a
As what the
pickup truck.
trade-in offer is? Okay, okay. Thank you.
We explored all the options, as we
Sure.
always do, and this seemed to be the most lucrative for the city.
Okay. All right, great, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes 9-0. On to item R, recommend draft resolution authorizing waiving of bidding process and execution of a contract with ACO Cable Construction, Inc. for boring services for electric relation at Illinois 31 and 3rd Streets with ACO Cable Construction, Inc. in the amount of $44,190. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Bruno. Second by McGowan.
So that should be relocation.
Oop.
We'll get that corrected for the next agenda. The city's electric utility needs to relocate overhead lines due to the UP Third Rail Project. The lines will be relocated underground along the east side of Route 31 from the overflow lot south to the intersection of 3rd Street. As both the city's Comcast and MetroNet's underground conduits need to be installed together in one directional bore. MetroNet solicited quotes from 5 contractors with 2 responding. We are requesting that we would waive competitive bidding and award the boring work to ACO Cable Construction, Inc. As such, that would require 7 affirmative votes since it would be waiving of the bid. And again, any questions can be directed to Hal Wright, who is also still with us this evening.
Still with us, that's good. Alderman Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hal or Rich, I don't know if the relocation, this part of the Third Rail Project, is that in any way, are we reimbursed in any way from Union Pacific, do you know?
I'll let Rich answer that.
I have been working with legal counsel for the last 3-4 weeks, reviewing various reimbursement agreements with the Union Pacific Railroad for both electrical utility relocations, water utility relocations, sanitary relocations, securing the various license agreements for the crossings of the Union Pacific Railroad right-of-way. And those negotiations, or actually those reviews, are currently in Omaha. So we have not executed a reimbursement agreement yet. The Union Pacific is well aware that we are pursuing this. We have offered that, or have been an advocate to the Union Pacific, that by doing a joint or collaborative effort with multiple utilities with one boring, that we have fewer disruptions to the public, to the motorists, and to the jeopardizing worker safety, as well as an effective cost control measure of mobilizing only one time with a contractor. So while we do not have an ironclad reimbursement agreement yet with the Union Pacific Railroad, it is our intention that we will include this as part of our overall relocation cost.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 9-0. On to item S. Recommend draft resolution authorizing execution of an intergovernmental lease agreement by and between the City of Geneva and the Geneva Park District relating to the real property commonly identified as Garden Club Park. May I have a motion, please? Moved by McGowan. Seconded by Alderman Burkhart.
Okay, so this is really just kind of formalizing an agreement that's been going on for many, many years. It would provide for the city to lease the Garden Club Park to the Park District for recreational purposes and to maintain, operate, repair, and construct upon Garden Park certain passive recreational amenities, including but not limited to walkways, overviews, trees, planting bed, and atriums, as long as the Park District observes and performs all the covenants, terms, and conditions set out in the agreement. Again, this is an agreement that we've actually kind of had a handshake agreement for many years, and as Siobhan and I were going through various paperwork and leases, we're trying to make things more formal, and so that we have kind of a paper trail of what's going on as we move forward in the future.
Any questions from the committee or comments or from the audience? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 9-0. That moves us on to new business. Is there anybody from the dais that has any new business they'd like to bring up for discussion? Is there anybody? Oh, Alderman Ruby.
Just a quick reminder, this coming Saturday is the Big Heart 5K
Thank
at
you.
Leroy Oaks, 9 a.m.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone from the audience? Any new business? If we have no new business, then a motion to adjourn would be in order. Moved by Marks,
Second.
second by Bruno. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
9-0. Microphones are off.